Rishiji, your latest book, Gita Comes Alive, is a radical and decolonized translation of the Bhagavad Gita. And my first question about it is that, just what makes, thank you so much. That's wonderful. And, I want to go deeper and ask you
That's
some
the
more questions.
hardcover,
Right.
just to show you both of it.
Yes. Thank
Yes, your
you.
question. Sorry.
Yes. You know, I want to ask you a number of questions, but my first question about the Bhagavad Gita, is just about the book. I mean, what makes Bhagavad Gita so special? And like, can you tell us the essence of Bhagavad Gita?
Well, I would start by saying that the Bhagavad Gita is the essence of Vedic civilization.
Okay.
It is, you might say, the guidebook, it's the field book, or it's the user's manual for being a Hindu. Because when you have a library, the good news and bad news, the bad news is there's many books in there. So there could be arguments over which one to read or which one is best. Whenever you allow biodiversity, you always run the chance that people will have different opinions and form separate groups of interest, right? Yeah, you see people saying, oh, Shiva's better, or
Oh,
Durga's better, or Krishna's better. See, those are separate groups of interest. If they said Shiva's from the Vedas, no one would argue. They'd say, yes, that's right. If they said Brahma's from the Vedas, they'd say, yes, that's right. If they say Vishnu's from the Vedas, they'd say, yes, that's right. But when you have a big library, it's sometimes hard to get somebody who knows the whole library who can agree. And then the people that are listening don't know the whole library, so they can't be certain about the answer being the truth. So let's say the bad news of having a library is that not everybody knows what's going on. The good news is they have a huge library, which is really helpful. And it's knowledge about all different aspects of life. So we have medicine, we have astrology, we have sciences, we have everything, okay? So now let's ask the question, what role did the Gita play in that? That's what, in a sense, you're asking. So this brings us to the concept where the Gita begins, that in the beginning, Krishna says, I spoke this knowledge unto Vivasvan, the deity, the Deva, but inside the sun. So that being must live for quite a long time, right? Does the sun last for a long time? What do you think?
yeah.
Yeah. So then this is quite a worldview, because he begins chapter 4. He says, first of all, I spoke this knowledge a long time ago, and I gave it to Vivasvan, the deity of the sun. He spoke it to Vivasvata Manu, his son. Manu started mankind. Mankind comes from the word Manu. We're Manusha, and we have Manas. So English mankind comes from the Sanskrit Manas
Right.
and Manu. And so does thumb, by the way. And so the opposable thumb is because we're mankind.
Okay.
Okay. So this knowledge, right at the beginning, Krishna says, so I, first of all, am an avatar. I have descended to earth at this particular moment to give you a brief summary of the Veda, because as times go on, it'll get more difficult for people to read the whole library.
Yes.
It'll get more chaotic, it'll get more difficult. So I'm going to give you a short user's manual,
Okay.
701 verses. I'm just going to give you the essence
Mhm.
of everything you absolutely need to know. Okay. So that you have a user's manual. So literally, the Gita is the user's manual to the entire Vedic civilization. And if you did not read another book, you wouldn't miss any of the really important parts of who we are if you just had the Gita.
Okay.
Okay, so that's really important to know. If I said, here's a user's manual, and about 80% of your technical questions will be answered by this user manual, would you get one?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Because it applies to everyone with cell phone, computer, anything.
Yeah.
So that's what the Bhagavad Gita is, first of all. So everyone should realize there's no such thing as a sectarian Bhagavad Gita. But the translation of something to another language presents a different set of problems. Because the Sanskrit is so precise, then this is where the Bhagavad Gita, it is in Sanskrit. So even if it goes into another language in India, if it goes into Telugu, or if it goes into one of the South Indian languages, even deeper down in the South, or if it goes into Bengali instead of into Hindi, then it'll still get a little different shading and coloring by going into those spoken languages, right? Because the reason Sanskrit is not generally a spoken language is that it's so precise.
Yes.
So we could call it, and that's what it says it is, Samskritam, the perfected language.
Right.
This language was purposely created divinely and then perfected grammatically by Panini so that the knowledge never drifts at all.
Right.
But that means Sanskrit is so perfected that it's rigid, and the average person won't stay in school long enough to learn all of it because of adhikari, because not everybody is a scholar. Okay, so this means Sanskrit's got to come with scholars.
Right.
So if you have a book like the Gita, so what happens if you've been colonized and the colonizing language is very sloppy and doesn't have much rules and is always changing? That would be English. And what happens if we start translating the Sanskrit into English? Then two things are going to happen. One is people who want to use English words, who are the colonizers, are going to put their religious words into the Bhagavad Gita in place of the Sanskrit. So that's what happened.
Yes.
So first, the Gita gets filled with these other terms. So we'll come to that in a minute. But now understand that in the Gita, the whole Gita is summarized in chapter 10. So your question was, do I have a concise summary of the Gita? And I started to take you to some of the problems, but we'll get to those. But here's the concise summary according to the Gita. Chapter 10, verses 8, 9, 10, and 11 are considered the nutshell or summary Bhagavad Gita. So if you don't have time, memorize those 4 verses. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matak sarvam prabhartate iti madhva bhajanti mam buddha bhava samanvita. Next, majchita madgata prana, and so on. In English, fairly good translation. Bhagavan says, I am the source of everything. From me, the entire creation flows. Knowing this, the wise adore me with all their hearts. Their minds are surrendered unto me. They think about me all the time. And they render service unto me in various ways. Out of compassion for them, I, who am dwelling within their hearts, destroy the darkness born of ignorance with the shining lamp of knowledge. Jnana dipena bhaspata. Okay. So if you don't have time, memorize those 4 verses. And if you're an English speaker, learn the Sanskrit and the English. And now you have a little mini Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, I'm the source of everything. From me, the entire creation flows. Okay. The wise adore me with all their hearts. Their lives are surrendered unto me. They derive great satisfaction and pleasure talking to one another about me out of compassion for them. I, who live in their heart, have come and am giving them this knowledge, and so on. And if they stick with that, then they won't get off track. So technically, that's all you really need to know to not get off center.
Namaste. We hope you enjoyed this Chitti Media content. Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.